Hey everybody, this is our next project, pop art. And what we're gonna do is focus our next two projects on the pop art movement. So pop art is essentially about all the bright colors and repeating everyday objects and changing them up a little bit. And so to start this, we're going to start with just an object. Now, since it's around Christmas time, I picked Christmas trees. So, and as you can see, it's very, very simple. There's not a lot of detail. It's more of like a clip art version of it. So I don't care what kind of object you pick, but you do need, it can't just be an outline. So say if you picked a ball, it can't just be a circle of one color. It needs at least 3 colors, so you can change them up within each section. So to begin, what we need to do is you need to get a piece of paper, okay? And if you are doing this in your notebook, you would just need to kind of measure out your sections. But if you have a piece of paper, the easiest way to do is to fold it, line it up, line them up, push it down, and hold it like this, okay? Make sure you have a nice crease there. You could open it back up and do it the other way, or you can just leave it like this. Line it up. This bottom part's not wanting to cooperate. There we go. Line it up, hold it down, and then crease it. Okay, open it back up and you have your 4 sections. So on this project, you're required to have at least 4 sections. I have seen projects where they did bigger paper and there was 6 or 8 sections, but I'm just requiring you to do 4. And now you need to have an object on each one. But instead of drawing it out 4 times, we're gonna kind of look at tracing. Now I know sometimes I tell you that tracing is bad, but when it's your own project, you know, obviously it's your own work, you're not copying something. So tracing isn't that bad when it is your own, okay? So here we go with, as you can see, this is kind of how I did my project. Is I started with an object and I started drawing it and then tracing it with a Sharpie or a black marker, okay? And again, it just needs to be kind of a simplified version of something, but I don't care what kind of object. It doesn't have to be Christmas. It can be whatever object you want, but remember it needs at least 3 elements to be able to color differently, okay? So I'm just gonna keep with this where I drew it out, I traced it with Sharpie, and now, so here is my template, okay? Now what to do to put it on our project paper, all you're gonna do is trace it out that many times. Now with pop art, the artist Andy Warhol was really known for the repetition of things, and he used a method called printmaking, which is kind of like stamps, but unfortunately where we are kind of doing distant learning and we don't get to do a lot of the hands-on this year, it's we kind of have to compromise with drawing it over and over, but normally what he would do would be like stamp it. Okay, so I'm tracing it. As you can see, I'm holding down the papers, okay? I'm drawing it really lightly in case I make a mistake. And remember, you're gonna be tracing over this with Sharpie, so don't beat yourself up about, you know, making a stray mark or a mistake, because you're gonna trace over it, and then you'll erase any of the stray marks. So here we go. I did a lot of ornaments on mine just because I thought they were fun, and I loved being able to change the colors. So I added a bunch of different ornaments. Okay, so, I did all my ornaments. Here's my triangle tree. And if you're kind of wondering what to do, or maybe you have an idea of what you want to do, but you don't know how to, like say you want to do a Christmas tree, but you don't know what kind or how to draw it, remember, go to Google Images and Google clip art versions, and those are just simplified versions of something that you could draw easily. Okay, so I did one, and remember, you're going to just do, and what I did with this is I went ahead and folded it so I got the right size. So to make it easy, you could even line up your creases so you know exactly where it goes. Okay, remember, draw lightly with this. And I'm going a little fast because, I'm trying to make this video not boring for you. But you're going to keep going all the way around, and you're going to draw it out 4 times. Okay, here is that. And so initially what you want to do, where Andy Warhol would make it's called printmaking, but essentially it's stamping. Where he would stamp each one, they are all exactly alike. So when you're tracing, you want to make sure that they're as close as the same as possible. Okay, that's why we're not just going to draw it once, draw it twice. We're going to trace it so that it makes it the exact same. Okay, so pretend that I did all 4. Okay, so now your next step is to trace your object with a black marker, preferably a Sharpie so it won't bleed. But if you don't have a Sharpie, obviously you can use anything that you have. Get you a scrap piece of paper. As you can see, I used this yesterday, but a scrap piece of paper to go underneath it so it doesn't bleed out on your table. And this is when you're going to go really slow, because most of the time when people go back to trace over something, they speed it up and then their lines get all messy. So remember, take it slow. Okay, if you need to fix something, do it with your marker, because remember, you can erase these stray marks. Okay, so take your time. Okay. And remember your drawing tools. If you have a ruler that you want to use, or even like small circles, things around the house that you can trace, that's circles or squares or something like that. Remember, use those to your advantage, especially when you need a nice straight line. Okay, and voila. Okay, so you would do that each time, okay? And then once you're done with your tracing, make sure your marker's dry, and then you can go back and erase your stray pencil marks. Okay? and then we will be coloring in the next video. Now, on this, I didn't trace a black line in the middle, but if you want to match your trees, you are more than welcome to trace that black line all the way down and all the way over. It's just your preference. Okay, so the next video, I'm gonna start coloring it in.